Super Saiyan Vegeta's auto combo used to leave the opponent fairly far away if you used it in a block string. So while you were -2 after the uncharged version, you were outside of light range. And this was also the case if you charged it to be +2 on block, meaning that you would have to try and frame trap with your medium normals, which could lose to some far range 6Ls. So this is how it behaved before, and now let's take a look at what it looks like in the new patch. So looking at it, the opponent is left much closer now to you, so that, if you do the uncharged version, you're within light range and -2, but this also applies to the charged plus on block version of the attack. Meaning that now Vegeta can pretty much fully take advantage of this feature and press lights to take the turn again against an opponent. Super Dash Light Kick had a reduction in whiff recovery. Previously, you would be about like -35, -36 at these ranges, so pretty safe. And now there's about 5 frames less of recovery. So now you're like -30 or -31. It should just mean that the move overall is safer to throw out in neutral. You're less likely to get punished for it. Maybe there's some new links you can get if you whiff this attack in a combo. I haven't seen anything like that just yet, but it's a nice little buff for Vegeta. Keep in mind this only applies to the move on whiff, and it doesn't change any of the frame data on hit or on block. All of that is still the same. Medium Super Dash Kick also has a couple of changes. Let's first talk about its recovery on whiff. Previously, if this move whiffed, you were fairly unsafe, I would say. -55, took a whole second for the move to basically wrap up and finish. And of course, the frame of data would vary from these examples. Now, with the new whiff recovery, it seems to be a similar buff to what the light version got, where it's about 5 frames faster, maybe 5 or 10. It should just mean that if you do whiff this move, you should recover a little faster now. More interesting are going to be the properties on hit. Previously, regardless of what range that you hit with this attack, you got the same knockback. The opponent would always be launched across the screen, which led to few combo opportunities. But now there's 2 different effects on a smash launcher hit, depending on where the move hits. Up close, it's pretty much the same. The opponent is blasted across the screen, but now, if you actually space this move out and hit the opponent from far away, they're popped up right next to you, allowing you to combo into normals. There's also been some adjustment to the hit stun as well. There's a little bit more to work with, whereas if you try to do combos like this that didn't utilize the medium auto combo property, you would have a hard time picking up confirms, at least without using Ki Blast. A dashing light kick, for example, didn't work. And now with those adjustments to the knockback on hit for all the attacks, including the change that we saw earlier with how it's spaced out, you are now actually able to link a Super Dash light kick in this situation. And the combo goes on. Now, the next example I have for you of these buffs is actually a little more nuanced than I thought it was on the surface. So because they've decreased the delay on whiff for this attack, it means that overall the move takes place faster, so Vegeta gets to his final hit faster. This means that this opens up some new potential combo routing for the character that combines very well with the hit stun changes. So previously, if you tried to link into this move from a 5 heavy, it just didn't work. Because of how long it actually took for Vegeta to get there. This just completely whiffed. And even if you could do that, the hit stun that you would get on the final hit of the kick previously was not that great to work with. The opponent was blasted backwards, just like we've seen before. But because of the reduced whiff delay, there's actually some new combo routes that you can do, such as this. Now, with the changes to the hit stun for the attack, both in terms of increasing the amount of hit stun that you get from a non-smash version of it, as well as the change to the knockback from hitting with the later active frames, you get some spicy new links that you can actually get using this move. Etc., etc. Whereas I kind of felt like a lot of Vegeta's combo routing before was a little bit limited. You had to do medium auto combo, right? and backdash to then run up and get the link here. It just feels like there's a lot more ways to sort of just combo into this, where you can do, you know, these later hits of the super dash medium kick and then get this closer knockback version of it. And, you know, again, even splicing it into your post-smash launcher attacks as well. So, honestly, some really good buffs for Vegeta that just should make his combo game a little more expressive, as well as a little less restricted. Light DP has several changes to it, so let's go ahead and explore them one by one. For starters, they've increased the horizontal movement distance on the move. Previously, it was a fairly stubby option, not really moving Vegeta too far forward. Additionally, this was a frame 1 anti-air attack, and it still is, but there wasn't really a lot of combo potential off of it. You had so much recovery that you couldn't do any links out of this outside of a spark and cancel or vanish. Additionally, it was like negative 28 on block, incredibly punishable. Much like how adult Gohan can use his light DP in combos, they decided to give Vegeta's DP a little bit of the same utility here. So they've increased the distance you move forward a little bit. It's small, but definitely noticeable when you take a look at it with the previous version. The next couple of things that they've done is that they have, I believe, increased the hit stun a little bit, but they've definitely reduced the recovery time. So previously, whereas you were negative 28 on block, you're now negative 15, which could mean that if you do this against an airborne opponent and they block this attack, you might actually be pretty safe to a punish attempt depending on the circumstances. But more to the point, if you use this in a combo, you can actually link out of it now. So you can do things like this. And continue the combo from there. So there's a little bit more of a combo utility for this tool. Now's a good time to mention as well that in patch 1.40, when they introduced this change, this was actually a very strong option because this is a medium starter and it didn't really scale the combo. So you could even do combos like this with it. And you can basically just combo into so many DPs. And you did a lot of damage. Now, in patch 1.41, as part of their bug fix patch, they've added an extra hit of scaling to the move. So the move technically does 2 hits. It's just that the first hit does all the damage, the second hit does 0 damage, but it scales the combo down, thus hurting the utility of this move in some of those combos. Whether or not this has a place for Vegeta in those combos, I think is something yet to be seen, but it also does mean that if Vegeta does use this as an anti-air option, he probably doesn't get as many TODs as he used to be able to before. You kind of are trading the reward for being able to have this be a little safer on situations where it's blocked by an airborne opponent and have the ability to combo off of this meterlessly and without spark in return for the reward that you get for using this particular option. So it's just something to sort of think about here, and I'm interested to see what the Super Saiyan Vegeta players are going to be able to discover with the move now that we're in this patch 1.41 version. As you can see, I really haven't done my exploration here, but let us know what you think about this change. Big Bang Attack, Vegeta's level 1 super, has a couple of buffs to the stun time that the move now has. Previously, it was a pretty short amount. As you can see, the enemy would tech in the air, and if you use the Super Dash version, which aims the attack downwards, pretty much you could hear the moment the enemy touched the ground, they also teched out of the combo, and we can actually use the DHC to get a better visual like such. So this made it a little tricky to work with in a couple DHC situations. Now let's take a look at the new stun time for the attack. As you can see, the enemy no longer air techs. Instead, they have to touch the ground in order to be able to tech. This means that there's a little bit more leeway for you to follow up into another DHC with Vegeta, and I think that's very important for when you're using his level 1 at high altitudes. You don't quite have the time to charge up a full special beam cannon, but you can see the difference here just by using this example where GT hits the ground and even has a little bit of a slide knockdown. So this might mean that there's a lot more situations where you can get these level 3 DHCs that are pretty much stuck on the ground, and you might be able to get a couple more hits out of those supers, increasing your overall damage. You might be able to delay them a little bit more. There's just a lot of like some small nuances when it comes to DHCing here that should result in a nice buff for Vegeta. All 3 of Vegeta's assists have a couple of buffs to them, so let's explore them one by one. Starting off with the A assist. It used to be a pretty slow assist, starting at frame 42. This, combined with its lack of range and the inability to really reposition it, meant that it really wasn't too great for neutral. Like, yeah, it could control space, but it was a space that the opponent could easily avoid. Ever since they removed its lockdown ability years ago, it kind of only has been just a fodder combo assist where, yes, it excels in combos because of the hit stun that it puts the opponent into, but for neutral and for mix-ups and things like that, it's been lacking for a bit, and it seems that Bandai wants to try to buff its utility in neutral. They buffed that utility in 2 ways. First of all, they started by decreasing the startup time from 42 frames to 30 frames. So this is pretty much as fast as a beam assist is now, which is pretty nice. It just means that if you call this a neutral, it's going to control the scrambles a little quicker. It means that if you call in a block string, there is less time to really use it for a fake out mix before the key blast hits. So maybe that is a bit of a detriment, but it also means that in your combo routing, you don't have to call it as early. So maybe there's some more combo routes where it's just easier to splice it in. The more interesting change to me is going to be the fact that you can now control where Super Saiyan Vegeta spawns based on the inputs that you're holding. If you hold forward, Vegeta will actually fly forward at the opponent and drag himself down. And if you also hold back, then he will also drift backwards doing it. This, again, probably has some combo utility where you can basically use his assist to drag the opponent one way or another, or end the hits done earlier or something like that. But I think that this is mainly just going to be here for neutral. If you want to sort of retreat with the assist, then you can kind of use it like this. And if you want to advance with the assist, for a better full screen example, then you can do that actually. Like there's actually like some neutral applications for this assist where it might be a little harder for the opponent to play around. Of course, this also means that if you're calling the assist in block strings, right, and if you're holding down back before, excuse me, that's my fast tag option. Pardon me there for a second. If you were doing this before, you know, Vegeta would pretty much spawn right there, but now if you're holding down back, he could spawn a little farther away, which has some value because he's always spawned a little bit far away from the opponent in the first place, but this just gives him maybe some extra protection to drift even farther back so that maybe the opponent's assist or their own attack won't interact with him. So it's a couple of nice changes that apply in a couple different contexts. Previously, Vegeta's B assist was a pretty bog standard lariat style assist that would knock the opponent into the air and give you a little bit of time to confirm off of a hit with it. Not a whole lot of pushback, a little bit of stun time to work with, certainly usable and feasible, but I guess that must have had a low pick rate or Bandai just wanted to buff it to improve it a bit, so it has a couple of strong changes to it. And as you can see here, it could be a little finicky to link some of your like slower attacks. To give you more time to confirm off of this assist, Bandai has given it a couple of buffs. They've adjusted the knockback on hit, they adjusted the hit stop on hit, and they increased the stun time. Basically, this kind of looks like Vegeta hits you with that late active frame medium super dash kick by popping the enemy up and giving you plenty of time to confirm. So this should just make it a little easier for you to get confirms off of it. I also can see it as making it so that if you're doing combos very late in a hit stun or very high in hit stun decay, this extra pop-up might mean it's easier for you to connect with a Dragon Rush off of it. And it's pretty simple for you to link in a heavy normal after this as well, just increasing the combo damage that you can get. So a nice little buff just to mean that if you do get hit within the scramble, there's more time for you to confirm with it. Lastly, they did buff his C assist. Unlike many other C assists, he didn't really get this startup decreased so that it came out faster in the patch where they were giving reduced startup to pretty much every C assist in the game. And it makes sense. I mean, this was a DP assist, and it took about 40 frames for it to come out, which is pretty long, but again, this was an invincible strike assist. While the startup time isn't anything like the 20 frame, 24 frame jump scare you from full screen lockdown assist that we see across many of the other cast members, it is still faster. Coming down from that 40 frame mark into a 35 frame mark, meaning that it's just going to be a little more useful to call out in neutral sometimes. I don't know if this is an assist that you do want to pick with Vegeta. I kind of feel like this might have been his best assist previously, just because it's an invincible C assist. But with the reduced cooldown to A and B assists, even if they're slightly reverted from that patch 1.4 era of like a 2-3 second cooldown, I do think that A and B assists are just more valuable in this patch. Still, it's a perfectly fine C assist to use, but I think that with the neutral buffs to his A assist, as well as like the easier time to confirm off of his B assist, you could probably pick between those two and really deliberate which one of those you want to use over picking his C assist, though his C assist is more than serviceable and I think still a viable assist to choose. Honestly, Super Saiyan Vegeta got a lot of nice buffs in this patch. Pretty much his team utility, I think, is buffed across the board. With the higher hit stun time on his Big Bang attack, it probably means that he's a lot more DHC friendly to a lot of other cast members right now, so you should be able to splash him into teams a little bit easier. I think all of his assists got some really great buffs to them. He's got a couple of new damage confirms that are available to him as well, with changes to things like his light DP, as well as his medium super dash kick. And I think he was in a good spot before. I think his most important changes, like changes to his consecutive Ki Blast attack special moves, were in previous patches, and I think he's been more than viable since then. But now I think there's kind of like some of these gaps in terms of his utility and splashability that have been addressed. And I'm excited to see if people kind of really explore this character. Again, he's a pretty straightforward battery character to use, and if you're looking for a teammate that wants to build up a lot of Ki Blast meter while playing around with some aggressive zoning as well as a little bit of rushdown potential, Super Saiyan Vegeta, I think, is still a pretty decent pick for a character. So I think these are some really good changes for Vegeta, and I hope that we get to see some more representation from him going forward.